Uber, Bitcoin, self-driving cars. Combine those three together, and you have the self-owning taxi. A car that is a corporation that owns itself, pays for the car lease, the car insurance, and the gasoline from the revenues it makes, giving passengers a ride, and there's not a single human involved in that matter.
Welcome to Key Stock and Crypto channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
We have stocks up today, a couple days after the rate hike, and we know yield rates should be rising, but they're not. That front end is being pushed down, so that means it's being manipulated. Only thing you have to do is look at the yield curve, but we also see the dollar coming down, and we know that's good for stocks. Now we have Elon Musk comes out and says Twitter has lost a lot of revenue due to him wanting to have a free speech platform. A lot of the advertisers are pulling back. It really doesn't matter, guys, because it's a private company. He's going to charge people $8 for a check. That blue check is going to make up for a lot of revenue that was lost. Now we have Carvana stock on pace for its worst day. It plunges about 37%. And guys, we know these used cars were moving like hotcakes. Now everything is slowing down. And remember, the Fed is not done. They're not done raising rates, and they really haven't even started QT yet. Now we have DraftKings shares tumble. Now guys, we know DraftKings is going to be one of the keys to the fourth industrial revolution. We know betting is going to start moving up. Also, football and basketball. Football starts at the end of third quarter, and of course, basketball starts in the fourth quarter. So their stock is definitely going to go back up. And then also a key point is that Republicans are going to be taking back over. And that's going to help these dividend stocks that I'm going to go over later. But it's also going to help DraftKings because we know they don't like regulations. There's a lot of states that haven't passed betting laws. So we know that's going to change, guys. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Now, of course, getting over into the dividend stocks, my top 3 for 2023. I'm not your financial advisor, not financial advice. Please do your own research. And the first one rolls in, and energy, guys, is definitely Devon Energy. But of course, guys, you can choose from Chevron, you can choose from Exxon. All three are good choices. My second play, of course, is in 5G, and it's AT&T. But of course, you also can pick Verizon. And then my third, of course, is marijuana stocks. And Altria Group is definitely a great play. Now, guys, we see all the big banks and corporations are getting over into crypto. Now, Fidelity is offering a Bitcoin fund for your 401k. I'm not your financial advisor, not financial advice. Please do your own research. Me personally, I would invest in Bitcoin on my own, keep it in my own wallet until we get some type of regulation. When we get regulation, then of course it's fine. And lastly, guys, we get over to the actual indicators. We have yield rates, which we see the front end being pushed down, the back end is rising up. We had the dollar down and we had the VIX down, and we know that equals the actual stocks up. But guys, don't forget about midterms. Once midterms are over, it's Democrat versus Republican again. Then we know the games begin. But guys, that's all I have for you. Have a wonderful day.
Well, speaking of Twitter, there's an article in the New York Times today that suggests layoffs are going to begin starting today, and it's going to be layoffs of around 3,000 or so people, maybe up to 50% of the staff there. You're an investor.
I thought it said 3,700.
3,700.
And there are 7,500 employees. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people there that aren't very productive. They work from home. They haven't written very much code. You know, I'm not the expert in Twitter yet. I will be in a couple of years, maybe sooner than that, but I'm not yet. And I think that the first thing you got to do is right-size the business, and then the opportunities they have are gigantic. This is the place where you have content. It's other places you go to look at people's faces and their kids and stuff. Here you go to he wants to have a digital town hall, digital town center, you know, where you can debate. But you have to make sure that you moderate and you don't have hate speech on there, and you don't have. There was something that was published a couple of days ago that said in the first time, as soon as he took it over, there were 50,000 tweets in 2 or 3 days with using the N-word.
Yes.
Or using anti-Semitic tropes. In 2 or 3 days, there were 300 accounts. So 300 accounts.
They were troll accounts that were
Right.
trying to see what they could get away with. Yeah.
And so you don't want that. You want to have verification of accounts for $8 a person, and you can verify, and then they can amplify your what you want to say and who you can reach.
I mean, he has made the statement to assuage advertisers that he doesn't want it to be a hellscape. He's been clear about that, but I think there are advertisers who have questions and concerns. There was another story today, I don't know if it was the Wall Street Journal, that just talked about General Mills, Volkswagen, a lot of different companies, potentially L'Oreal, that are looking at Mondelez and Pfizer. Those are some of the other ones that are pausing their ads on Twitter right now. Do you think that he's going to run it in a way that will bring those advertisers back and convince them that this is where they want to be?
I do, but I think that this is not just about money. And when you're talking about someone who's worth whatever he's worth, and going to be worth multiples of that in the future, trillions, and you're talking about $20 billion. To everyone, it's in the world, it's a lot of money, but for him, it's not relevant. And what he's doing, his goal is not just to make a huge amount of money. His goal is to help democracy. And you help democracy, you don't help democracy. And he says the only way this works is that if a lot of speech that takes place there is stuff that he doesn't like. He says you don't want to hear it. But on the other hand, that's what democracy is. You argue about things.
But how do you decide between free speech and hate speech? That's the tricky part.
That's an easy thing to do. Now, if you think about what TikTok does, the TikTok can, if you move your arm a certain way, they know what you want to watch.
Right.
And they know who you are. And if they watch enough things, then they know more about you than you know about yourself, and more than your wife knows. They know everything. But just moving. And for him to think about, this guy sends up rockets and brings them back and lands them.
Right.
How could he not have software that can determine from the words that are being used and from the content that people are watching? They know more about everyone than anyone else because of the content. So they know all this, and therefore they should be able to figure out with software how to moderate and to prevent this hate stuff and anti-Semitic things and using N-words. They should not be allowed to do those things. Yeah. And he said even the sanctity of elections.
Yeah.
And so here, if everyone says it's true, how do you avoid disinformation? They should be able to do that with
it falls.
Would you close down the oil
falls.
industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a
because
big statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
And here's the deal. But
That's
you
a
can't
big
do
statement.
that. Well, if you let me finish the statement.